So chime in on some of the things you want to discuss, and then we'll throw it out there for the listeners at 504-556-9696.
Well, it just seems to me that one of the biggest issues in Louisiana, I think, of course, is the oil and gas lawsuit, the levee district lawsuit, and I'm curious as to what your callers have felt about it, how your callers have felt about it. I think that particular decision by Governor Jindal will have really lasting repercussions to the state and to Governor Jindal's future career. So, I have my own personal feelings, but I'm just curious as to just generally, do you callers feel that he did the right thing, or that what he did was just his own political? I'm just kind of curious.
We'll throw it out there. Obviously, this was the governor signing a bill the legislature passed, correct?
Sure, exactly. The legislature did pass, and the governor did sign it. Although there were a lot of things going on afterwards. I think the number was something like 79 to 90 law professors around the country urged him not to sign it, saying that it would let BP off the hook, and a lot of other issues, saying that we wouldn't be able to recover against oil companies in the future for oil spills, and just a whole general debate going on that people really wonder whether or not these issues were soundly and solidly discussed during the legislative session. And we know that, for example, BP has tried to get out of the lawsuit settlement, and in terms of what's going to happen now. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to get out of this, and so these are things I think have very serious implications. We have a column up there, an article written by Karen Jensen, and I created a video that's up there right now. It's about a 2-minute video, and I really do encourage your audience to take a look at it and let me get some feedback.
504-556-9696 to join in and discuss these issues. Anything you want to talk about, fair game. It's an open line discussion. To talk a little politics, if we can, of course, talking about the Mississippi race, talking about what's going on with Mary Landrieu. Obviously, the governor's got his aspirations coming up in 2016, and then the governor's position is going to be open in 2015. But before we get to any of that, we got a Senate race coming up this fall, and you've got now a lot of folks saying that we need to get behind Bill Cassidy and have a united front against Mary Landrieu. Is that argument, you think, winning out?
Winning out in terms of, say, Rob Menace and Paul Hollis not getting any traction, or winning out in terms of, say, Cassidy having a better showing and have more support around the state? Certainly I think it's winning out in terms of the latter. I think that anytime the Republican Party, whether it's in its wisdom, whether people support it or not, anytime they come out and support any particular candidate, then I think that it has some real implications upon the other candidates, and certainly the less money that Cassidy spends during this run-up will be money that he, in support and I guess momentum that he has going in to the runoff, should it be.
But
no, I hear you. Any other comments you want to make, Susan?
Yeah, I can understand why we should all get behind Cassidy, but I just really resent that I have to once again hold my nose, to vote. I really don't want Cassidy. I'd rather have somebody else.
I say you vote your conscience, and
but then again, if it comes to a runoff between Mary Landrieu and anybody, I'm going to vote for anybody
sure.
because I don't want to vote for Mary Landrieu.
What if you vote your conscience in the first primary, and then in the second primary you vote for the lesser of two evils? I mean, whatever you think's the best.
More than 50% and gets them the first go around. That's what can we do? I mean, more.
I don't think any of the people that would be supporting any of the Republicans are going to be voting for Mary Landrieu. I don't buy the argument that the other Republicans in the race are going to help Mary Landrieu win in the first primary. I don't see that happening.
They're not constantly ganging up on each other. Just run against Mary Landrieu.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of them run against Mary Landrieu. Mary Landrieu has a lot of baggage.
But then they've got to differentiate themselves from each other so that you can, as a voter, determine which one of them you're going to support. You know? Because right now, a lot of people say, hey, anybody but Landrieu, but which person are you going to get behind? So we'll see. And don't forget, there's also Reverend Brown out there. He's running. But, Susan, thanks so much. Appreciate the call. Our talk line, 504-556-9696. And, of course, the election is coming up, and we'll see what happens. But I'm getting that from a lot of callers, not just Susan, Steve, but a lot of pushback to what the Republicans are doing, trying to consolidate support for Bill Cassidy. Are you hearing that from people?
Not really. I mean, to be honest with you, just on your show. I mean, I think
get
that
out there more, Steve.
Well, I read and I listen, and I'm just saying that I think that for the most part, the people who are, say Tea Party supporters, people who are, say, in the same conservative vein that you are, I think that there is a lot of pushback, and I can understand why.
I was I was speaking to the Algiers Republican Women's Club the other day, and certainly a lot of their members were not happy. They were incensed by it, and I mean, we'll see if that's just a small pocket of opposition or whether that's more widespread. But there's 5 months from now until the election, so there's plenty of time to see how things fall out. I think if these guys don't get any traction, they'll probably back out and support Cassidy. But if they are gaining traction, I see them staying in.
Well, why doesn't the Tea Party just form its own party? I mean, to me, I think that if they're so incensed with the Republican Party, instead of just being an adjunct to the Republican Party, why don't they just do that? I mean,
well, I think a lot of them have looked at that, but look at Mississippi. They're on the verge of taking over a seat there. Look what happened in Texas. They took over a seat there. Ted Cruz. They won lieutenant governor's race. They've won in Nebraska. They've won in Utah. So they've won in a number of states. So, I mean, they're seeing success in the Republican Party and figuring they can keep doing that.
So, I mean, why did the Republican, we discussed this, I think, last week. I mentioned about the conventions from the latter years. Maybe you can explain in more detail what the Republican Party did in trying to, put this, I guess, this pro-Cassidy approval together. From what I read, at least, that I think that it had been done a couple of weeks before, and they announced it during the Republican Leadership Conference, but it was sort of fait accompli. So, I
think they got a few of the committee together as a small group, and they decided they were going to do it. I don't think they held any kind of big conference statewide. I don't think they did any kind of real outreach before making the decision. They just made it within the top brass of the party.
Well, was it the top brass, or was it the? Was it executive committee, or was it?
Again, I wasn't involved in it, but I think it was just the executive committee. I think it was a small group, okay. And that was what they decided to do, and certainly it was a boost to Cassidy. But I'm just saying, there's some people that aren't too happy with it.
Sure.
And personally, I don't think the Republican Party should be intervening. If you've got multiple candidates running, let the voters make that decision. I mean, let the voters decide.
Yeah. I certainly understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I really think that It should have been more transparency,
Mhm.
and of course, the Republican Party. I mean, it's not a governmental institution. They can do whatever they want.